Yo, what's going on, y'all? This is Marcus Rosa, aka Mazuma TV, back at y'all with some more boxing talk, man. I hope everybody's having a blessed, beautiful, positive, productive night. I hope y'all had a great day overall. I hope you're having a beautiful, positive weekend. You feel what I'm saying? I'm back at y'all with some more boxing talk. About to give you guys my post-fight reaction to Tito Mercado, Andy Cruz, and Diego Pacheco in the main event, defeating Steven Nelson. You feel what I'm saying? Shout out to everybody that's in the building so far. If y'all can hit the like button as soon as y'all come in, that'll be very much appreciated. You see what I'm saying? Shout out to everybody that's in the building so far. We already got a few comments. Shout out to my boy Coffee Plant, Lorenzo, Agent 007, Jordan Rules, what up? Big Soldier MX, what up? Pagat Petite, what up? Definitely hit the like button on the way in, man. I ain't going to be on here too long. I'm going to try to give y'all between 30 to 45 minutes. Just want to chop it up with you guys about this good fight that's going on. You feel what I mean? You can see it in my eyes. I'm tired. I mean, I had a long day today, man. Supposed to have a fight. Our opponent pulled out, you know what I mean, this very morning. You know what I mean? And not even peep until I actually had went to the event. You know what I mean? This is the motherfucking bracelet right here that I had for the event. You know what I mean? So that was disappointing. But we got a fight next week anyway at Pivot Boxing Academy. So it is what it is, man. Pullouts happen all the time. And you know, a lot of niggas ain't built for this shit, man. So it is what it is. Yeah, I had an opponent pull out, unfortunately, man. But went over, celebrated my grandmother's birthday, spent time with my son. You know what I mean? My son passed out around like 7:30, and he been asleep since. So yeah, I mean, I fell back, watched some fights, man. It was some good fights on here today, man. The Zone had some good fights, man. Andy Cruz versus Omar Salcido, that was a good fight, man. Them type of fights are the fights that Andy Cruz needs. You know what I mean? He definitely needs those fights. Those the fights that's really gonna help him mature and really progress and settle in as a professional. And you know, Andy Cruz has been getting better each and every fight. You know what I mean? From his pro debut till now. He hasn't had many fights, but you can see a noticeable difference, and that's you got to give kudos to Andy Cruz being able to adapt, from the amateurs to the professionals, and then you also got to give credit to Bozy Ennis for giving him the proper schooling in order for him to progress and evolve. You feel what I'm saying? So Andy Cruz fought Omar Salcido. Omar Salcido, I like what he brought to the table, man. I like the body shots he was throwing. He landed some good shots on Andy Cruz, and Andy Cruz showed to have a little bit of a good chin on him, man. You know what I mean? The best chins are the ones that don't get hit, but they do get tested, eventually, especially if you're stepping up in competition. And, Andy Cruz stood up to some good shots. He stood composed. He stood focused. He boxed really well, slipping and countering real good. And as the rounds went on, I believe this was a 10-rounder from what I understand, he started to systematically break down Omar Salcido. Those sharp shots that he was landing consistently throughout the night was starting to pile up. You could see Omar was starting to break down. And Bozy was telling Andy in the corner, like, yo, you could stop him. You know what I'm saying? You just got to put your fucking foot on the pedal and go. Andy Cruz noticed that. He started to put his punches together. Omar's legs started to, stiffen up on him a little bit, pause. You know what I mean? He was feeling the effects, but by the time, Andy started to really get going, the bell rang, and, Omar was saved by the bell. But nonetheless, it was a great performance from Andy Cruz. You know what I mean? I'm looking forward to seeing him continue to progress, man. Keep giving him meaningful fights. Keep giving him better opponents. Do I think he's ready for the championship level yet? I'm not gonna give him that just yet. I think he's almost there. He just need a few more touchings. You know what I'm saying? It's like when you got a motherfucking pizza in the oven. You know what I'm saying? And you know what I mean? You got it on however many degrees for however many minutes, and you check the pizza and shit, and the cheese ain't all the way melted yet. Like you could tell it's progressing, but you know what I mean? It ain't all the way there yet. You know what I mean? So that's how I look at Andy Cruz. He's developing really well. Eventually, he will be ready for that world championship level. But in all honesty, he's closer to he's closer to the world championship level than he is. I think he got more behind him than ahead of him. You know what I mean? In terms of progression, I think that Andy Cruz has made a lot of progress, and he'll be ready within the next 2 to 3 fights, in my opinion. Agent 007. Yasir Ali. I'm sorry, Agent 007. What up? Boxing knowledge. What up? Tito said Keyshawn and Andy got no power. Yo, Tito been talking crazy. We about to get into Tito Mercado right now. I'm gonna try to bring him up on the channel as well. I got his people's number, so let me try to hook that up. I'm gonna try to do that sometime this week. You said Andy Cruz is 29 too. I mean, he could be 29 years old. However, Andy Cruz, regardless of what his age is, he doesn't have much time in the professional. So you need to give him time to grow, just like everybody else. You feel what I'm saying? So he's doing all right. He's evolving pretty well. The kid could fight. You know what I'm saying? So I ain't about to sit here and talk crazy about him, man. He's doing phenomenal. You know what I mean? For the amount of fights he has, he's doing phenomenal. And look, he's talented division. Look at the champions that's around him. Lomachenko, Shakur Stevenson, Dennis Berincek was about to fight Keyshawn. Keyshawn could very well be the next champion. And then who I always miss the one, Gervonta Davis. You in a division full of killers. You know what I mean? So you can't take too much time because you're 29 years old, but take the time that you need. You feel what I'm saying? So shout out to Andy Cruz for that victory, man. Shout out to Bozy Ennis, Jerron Ennis, Lawrence Smalls, everybody that was working in Andy corner. They doing a phenomenal job, and they receiving the fruits of their labor, man. So salute. You know what I mean? Andy got that Philly schooling in him. You know what I mean? Slowly but surely, he gonna get where he want to go. T said, man, I like Tito and his energy. Me too. I always, and I say this all the time, I've always been a fan of shit talkers. You know what I mean? I like motherfuckers who talk shit. You know what I mean? And talk that greasy shit, and then they go in the ring and they talk that shit, and then they try to back up that shit that they talking about. You know what I mean? There's a lot of boxers nowadays. They talk greasy, and then they play real careful behind their style. They want to be, cautious. And Tito not with none of that. So let's get into Tito Mercado versus Jose Pedraza now. Much respect to Jose Pedraza. He's a fellow Puerto Rican, just like myself. 2-division world champion. He's done some good stuff, man. He's beat some solid, opposition and shit like that. Been in there with some top tier competition. Gervonta Davis, Ray Beltran, who was a former world champion. I think he took a title off of Ray Beltran. He fought Lomachenko. He fought Keyshawn Davis. Like, he done been around the block. So this is somebody who's, on the decline, obviously. Look, Big Soldier said that Jose is washed. I mean, listen, man, he's washed, but one thing we can't really dispute is that Tito Mercado is on the come up, and he needs these type of fights against these, I guess you could say, gatekeeper. I'm not going to necessarily call Pedraza a journeyman, but he is seeming to be, going towards that route. You know what I mean? But regardless, if you're matchmaking Tito Mercado and you see that he has a lot of potential, he's an up and coming contender, you need to put him in there with guys who have been around the block in order to progress. That's just how this shit go. You feel what I'm saying? So I had anticipated at least that Tito Mercado was going to get the stoppage over Jose Pedraza. Pedraza had came out. He was utilizing a lot of movement, but I think that Jose Pedraza got a feel for Tito Mercado's power early in the fight. Early on, and the fight did end early regardless, but Mercado was laying some good right hands to the body. You know what I mean? Good right hands. He was showing some really good power. He got some good leverage on those punches. And I think that Pedraza, I think his main objective was to try to take Mercado into the later rounds, honestly. So he didn't mind losing them early ones. I think he was trying to take him in deep waters and drown him, but in the meantime, he was accumulating damage. I think Jose Pedraza had pretty much smothered his work. He got a little bit too close, got within Tito Mercado's range. Tito Mercado lands a shot right on the ear, or at least behind the ear of Jose Pedraza, completely threw off his equilibrium. His legs was gone. He tried to get up. Didn't have his legs underneath him. The ref saw that, and the ref wasn't about to take that chance. Shit could have really got bad, so I actually agree with the referee's decision. You know what I mean? I don't know if Pedraza would have been able to do anything with Tito Mercado with no legs underneath him, because he was showing a lot of legs, and he still couldn't do anything with him. So your legs are gone. You know what I mean? There's a lot of time left in the round, and, shit not really looking good for you, and it's not really competitive. You know what I mean? We didn't see, like, the highlight reel type finish, but it was a worthy stoppage, so I'm not mad at the ref for that. You feel what I'm saying? I'm going by the fights. I'm going by the fight. We're going to get into Pacheco and Steven Nelson next. Just let me cook up, y'all. So, Tito Mercado, powerful. He got some good hand speed, too. Nice composure. You know what I'm saying? One thing I would like to see Tito Mercado do more. You know what I mean? I'm not his coach. I'm not part of his team by any stretch of the imagination. Just putting some observations out there. I would like to see Tito Mercado punching combinations a little bit more. Look at this nigga. Yo, he got an old profile picture for me on my old Instagram. That's fucking hilarious. Y'all see that, bro? That's me. Yo, this thing got a picture of me. And I got and that's a DSG hat I had on too. Yo, that's fucking hilarious. I had a camo snapback that had the DSG logo on it. Danny had gave that shit to me. He had gave me that hat during a fight. No bullshit. I had went to Danny Garcia's gym, and he had handed me one of the hats that he had in his merch store. And I had my Beats on. I had my blue polo hoodie. That was during high school, bro. That's fucking hilarious. I gotta pack you up for being a weirdo, but that is kind of funny though. You know what I'm saying? That is kind of funny, but I gotta pack you up for that because that's weirdo shit. We don't do that. That's definitely some real talk type energy. You know what I'm saying? For those of y'all who know what real talk is, that's real life stalker energy. But anyways, I would like to see Tito Mercado punching combinations a little bit more, and just show a little versatility between speed and power. You know what I'm saying? Because you could tell Tito Mercado is extremely heavy-handed. You know what I mean? So with that, you don't really got to load up on your punches to really hurt somebody. And you know how the saying goes in boxing. You usually get hit with the shots that you don't see. You get hurt by the shots that you don't see. So with Tito Mercado having the type of speed that he has on his punches, he got decent hand speed. I would like to see him vary his punches. You could start with speed and with power, start with power and with speed. That could really pay off, and that could really help him, offensively. It'll really throw his opponents off, and he might be able to get some really good stoppages against some real solid opposition. But what stood out more than the performance, in all honesty, was what Tito Mercado had to say after the fact, called out Shakur Stevenson. You know what I'm saying? Said he wanted to fight Shakur Stevenson. They had their little words back and forth. Shakur was getting disrespectful. Shakur was getting disrespectful. Tito was getting disrespectful. They was going back and forth. You know what I mean? I think he even said something towards Keyshawn. He called out Richardson Hitchens as well. So, Tito on the warpath right now. He not really fucking with none of these dudes that are in or around his division. He doesn't think much of these guys. And it shows by how the way he talks. So congratulations to Tito Mercado on his victory. I'm looking forward to seeing what he does, man. He really stirring up some good shit in the division. And, like what Jamil and myself had said on the platform a couple days ago, it seems like nowadays you need to talk in order to keep yourself relevant. You know what I mean? In the boxing world, you got to talk your talk for people to really pay attention to you, because nowadays it seems like good performances isn't enough. You know what I mean? They'll talk about your performance for 24 to 48 hours, and then, they back to talking about drama that's going on social media, or, the regular topics that happen to go on in the sport. You feel me? Shakur messed with his girl back in the day or something. I don't know. I don't even get into that type of shit, even if that was the case. You know what I mean? All I know is Tito Mercado wants smoke with the 35ers and the 40s. So let's see what Eddie Hearn cooks up for him, man. Hopefully he gets a better fight in his next, fight. You know what I mean? He wasn't able to fight in Philly last time, or Boost undercard, unfortunately, but he made his matchroom debut. He got the knockout against a two-time world champion. So congratulations to him. Tough veteran as well, man. Pedraza, of course he's not who he was when he fought Gervonta and stuff like that. Even the little comeback that he made after losing to Gervonta, he's no longer that version of himself, but that's still a good person to put on your resume. And, Tito Mercado, that might be the first, world champion that he added to his collection, in terms of victories and shit like that. So congratulations to Tito. Looking forward to seeing what he do next. Yeah, Tito Mercado signed the Matchroom. I don't listen. Coffee Plan said, would Tito go down to 35 for that? I don't know. That's something that I would have to ask him. That's actually a pretty good question. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if he's capable of making that weight. You feel me? So I'll ask him once I bring him on the channel. Teach, that's happening. That's happening for sure. I just gotta reach out to his people. You feel me? I got his people now. I think I got I don't got Tito number. I think I got either his security guard. I think my dad got his father number, so I'll reach out. Ain't nothing really to it. You know what I mean? So I'm looking forward to seeing what Tito Mercado got next coming up. You know what I mean? There's a lot of good fighters in the 140-pound division. Who would y'all like to see Tito Mercado fight next? Y'all gotta let me know. Y'all let me know. Cause I don't think they're gonna give him a world title shot in his next fight. I don't think that's what's gonna happen, but a quality opponent is definitely something he should look at. Kobe playing said Hitchens. I don't know. Hitchens might have bigger fish to fry, man. If they serious about that Teofimo Lopez fight, you know what I mean? He need to explore that. Cambosis about to fight Reed. Cambosis about to rumble. Who the fuck? They looking to make something with Liam Paro, right? Tito Mercado versus Matias for title elimination. Sheesh. Yo, that's a good ass fucking fight. Tito Mercado versus Subriel. Hoo-wee. Oh man. And they'll be talking that shit too. Oh my God. Jesus Christ. Yo, Ghost, you got something. You cooking up right there, brother. Matias versus Mercado. Ooh, that's a banger right there. That shit ain't going the distance. I know that. Ooh wee. But anyways, let's talk about the main event. Boxing Knowledge said, Tio, what about him? Oh, you saying Phil? Oh, okay. Shakur loses bet and has to do push-ups. What bet he lost? What are you talking about? But anyways, let's talk about the main event, man. Diego Pacheco versus Steven Nelson. Now, I told y'all I'm a big Diego Pacheco fan, and I told you guys off of the rip as soon as this fight was announced that this fight was pretty scary, man. This was a scary fight for me for being a Diego Pacheco fan because I know what Steven Nelson is capable of. I'm going to tell y'all something. We had a super middleweight at one point in time. You know, I spoke about him on the channel a few times. He was a big part of my, coaching career at one point. And he was ranked like top 15 in the country at super middleweight. And we were getting offers, to fight on Showbox and all these different events. Unfortunately, these guys wasn't paying what we was looking for. But and this didn't come to reality. We wasn't in negotiations and shit like that. But we were like probably a fight or two away from actually facing Steven Nelson. If that fight would have happened, that would have been a hell of a fight, just based off of the styles. But regardless, I've been watching Steven Nelson ever since then. And I remember there was a point in time where Steven Nelson had faced what was his name? I think he passed away, unfortunately, man. Sem Kilic. CEM Kilic. I think it was like Kilic. Regardless, Steven Nelson fought Sem Kilic and absolutely dominated. And he looked phenomenal. So since then, I was like, yo, this dude Steven Nelson is the truth. I got to keep my eyes on him. You know what I'm saying? So ever since then, I've been, watching Steven Nelson. And of course, he got older. He was plagued with injuries and inactivity, unfortunately. But Steven Nelson is still who he is. You know what I'm saying? So I knew when Diego Pacheco, who is a bit green himself, was taking on this challenge, I was a bit nervous for it. I ain't going to lie to you. And those beginning rounds, it pretty much, clarified why I was nervous. So Steven Nelson has started off pretty well against Diego Pacheco. I'm going to just say that. Blunt Sports, what up? Started off pretty well. The posturing, the level changes, the feints. It was giving Pacheco a little bit of a tough time, man. And in all honesty, it was kind of freezing him up and discouraging him from really getting his offense off. So the first 4 rounds, it was pretty competitive. Yeah, I think Sam Kilic had passed away, unfortunately. You know what I'm saying? Edward Morris said Demetrius Andre will cook Diego. We're going to get into that. We're going to get into what Diego should do next. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, you know, the activity, the aggression, the volume from Steven Nelson started off pretty well within the first 4 rounds. You know what I mean? 5th round comes around, and I believe that's when things started to not necessarily look bad for Steven Nelson, but the momentum started to shift just a little bit. There was a cut that had occurred from a punch. Now, I seen a clean jab land on that portion of Steven's face where the cut had happened, but I also seen a flush right hand that had landed in that same round. I don't know which one was responsible for creating the cut. It might have been the jab, but regardless, the cut had happened. I seen he had gotten back to the corner and the cut man was working on the cut. However, going into the 6th round, you know, a punch didn't even land on Steven Nelson and the blood was still there. The cut was still bleeding profusely. So, you know, I thought that was a cut that could have easily been stopped within the time frame that they allowed. So on some real shit, man, I'm blaming the cut man for the dying down of Steven Nelson's momentum. You feel what I'm saying? I said this in the group chat, you know what I'm saying? Way before anything was ever said. I had told everybody you could ask Lorenzo, man, he'll clarify on here. I said that cut is really going to give Steven Nelson problems if the cut man doesn't do anything about it. You know what I mean? Lorenzo has said something about that's going to be his kryptonite for the night. You know what I'm saying? And I emphasize why cut mans are important in the sport of boxing. You need to have great cut men in the sport of boxing. This shit could really save you in terms of winning a fight. You know what I mean? You having a good cut man might be the reason why you're able to weather the storm and make a comeback and actually do something, you know what I mean, in the sport or whatever it is. It could be the reason why you win the fight. That's what I'm trying to say. When you have a terrible cut man or an inexperienced cut man, they could be the reason why you come up short. You feel what I'm saying? So I see the momentum die down from there, and I seem like from round 6 all the way to the end of the fight, it was all Diego Pacheco. Now, Steven Nelson had rallied really well in the 11th and 12th round. Steven Nelson gave it all he had. He showed you that he really wanted it. He was game. He didn't look to submit to Diego Pacheco at all. Diego Pacheco hit this man with some shit. The fucking the right hooks he landed, the left hooks he would land. He landed some good body shots, uppercuts to the body. You know, Steven Nelson showed durability. You know what I'm saying? He showed durability. He showcased a world-class chin. Because let's not get it fucked up. Diego Pacheco is not no pillow puncher by any stretch of the imagination. I've seen this man stop multiple people, head, body. It really don't matter. You know what I'm saying? That tall, rangy, wiry kid got some pop behind his punches. And, you know, I've seen Steven Nelson get wobbled. I've seen Steven Nelson get, stunned by those shots, but he continued to come forward. Even when there was a moment where Pacheco had landed a bomb on Steven Nelson's temple, he would shake that shit off, and then he would come forward and let his hands go. One thing I'm going to actually give Diego Pacheco credit for was there wasn't many times where his back was against the ropes. Diego Pacheco did a phenomenal job at keeping the fight in the center of the ring and, circling away from the ropes when he got close to him. There was only a handful of times where I seen his back against the ropes and Steven Nelson was actually putting pressure. And he did the smart thing. He would tie it up and make them reset at the center of the ring. You feel what I'm saying? So Diego Pacheco did a good job with that. He also did a good job, especially at the round 4, with keeping Steven Nelson at bay. You know what I'm saying? He kept him at bay. He kept him at the end of his punches. And whenever Steven Nelson tried to close the gap, he was getting out of range. It wasn't a lot, and kept making Steven Nelson reset. The jab was there. The combinations were there. That step back right hand was there. When Steven Nelson would throw a single jab, that he would shoot that left hook as a counter, and he had success in that field as well. So Diego Pacheco did a phenomenal job. He said he wasn't satisfied with his performance, but what he has to understand is Steven Nelson ain't no regular, opponent. That's a highly skilled individual who a lot of people avoided, rightfully so. So Diego Pacheco got to give himself some credit, give himself a pat on the back, man. He did absolutely phenomenal because, a lot of people not taking them type of chances and getting in the ring with that caliber of a fighter. I got that much respect for Steven Nelson. You know what I mean? Steven Nelson is 36 years old, 36, 37 years old, but he still says that he's hungry and he still believes that he's one of the top 68s and he's ready to rumble. So hopefully they both find some great opportunities afterwards. So what's next for Diego Pacheco, man? Because I didn't hear him like specifically call out any individuals. He said anybody in the top 5. So I guess when you're looking at the top 5 of the super middleweight division, you're talking about Edgar Berlanga, Christian Mbili, Canelo, of course. Who else? Caleb Plant. People of that nature. I guess that's the fights that he's looking for. And shit is really interesting, man. They said that a Pacheco versus Berlanga fight could be made easily because they both are Matchroom. Pacheco agreed. You know what I mean? And I think that's a phenomenal fight. I think Berlanga versus Pacheco is a phenomenal fight. I had actually called for this shit back before Berlanga even fought Canelo. I was calling for that fight. I think that would have been a phenomenal fight. I think that would have been a good competitive fight against two young guys, two young up and coming contenders in the division. You know what I mean? But Berlanga had other plans. He was able to solidify a Canelo Alvarez fight, and he's supposed to be rumbling in March. So let's see what he does in March. Hopefully, it's not a fucking Gabe Rosado. And if he comes out victorious in his next bout, I would like to see Pacheco versus Berlanga. Why not? That'll be a good final eliminator, bro. A good interim title bout. But I think Pacheco would take the opportunity. It's really more about if Berlanga is willing to take the opportunity or give Pacheco the opportunity. T said if it's Mbili, Mbili's going to close the distance and stay there. Bad matchup for Pacheco. I don't know, man. Pacheco could box really well. He's shown to have some smooth feet. He might get out of dodge. You know what I mean? And if Billy doesn't have the sharpest defense neither, he might run into something from, Pacheco. Pacheco is a sharpshooter. I'm going to say this too, though. I did think that Pacheco's accuracy was off just a little bit in comparison to some fights that I've seen. I've seen this man land perfect body shots, perfect, and it might have just been, Steven Nelson being a difficult opponent, but there were shots that he threw against Steven Nelson that was just off the mark just a little bit. You know what I mean? So maybe that's what Pacheco didn't really like too much about his performance. I don't know. But regardless, man, he did what he had to do. He came out victorious. So, salute to both of them guys. Steven Nelson, phenomenal fighter. Pacheco, phenomenal fighter. And Pacheco's on his way to a world title shot, man. Eddie Hearn got to really push for him to be a mandatory. Really got to push for him to, get at least something. I would like to see Diego Pacheco versus the IBF champion, William Scowl. Why not? You know what I mean? If Pacheco, because everybody should be bidding for a William Scowl fight at this point. Everybody should be looking for that opportunity because he easy money. Canelo not going to fight you. There's another champion in the division that you feel like easy money. You might as well go for that. Try to take that belt. And that way it might put you in a situation where you could fight Canelo for all the belts. Just might. How the fuck is Skull still standing? Because he hasn't defended his title since he won it. Said Edward Morris said Andre will beat both of those guys. Who you referring to, Edward? Pacheco and who? Nelson? Listen, Demetrius Andre the problem. I've been a fan of Demetrius Andre since he was at 54. You know what I mean? Fighting when he fought Vanez Martirosyan. That's when I was watching Demetrius Andrade back when he beat up on Brian Rose on HBO. You know what I'm saying? I've been a fan of him since then. But one thing I'm gonna say, unfortunately, is that he didn't make the best business moves. You know what I'm saying? That's one thing I'm gonna say, and I think that shit cost him in the end. And he fell victim to politics as well, unfortunately. So it is what it is. Teach with a great observation. He said Pacheco threw a few dangerous uppercuts in that fight that missed. Yeah, that was part of, and I forgot to mention that as well. That's what made me believe that, you know, his accuracy was off as well, man. Like, you know, if one of those uppercuts would have landed on the money, that shit probably would have iced Steven Nelson. I ain't gonna lie to you, but he was just off the mark just a little bit. His uppercuts was off the mark. You know what I mean? His body shots was off the mark, but he did what he had to do. He still had some great moments, and I thought he won the fight convincingly. You know, probably 9-3. I'll probably give it 9-3. I thought that was a good score. 9-3, 8-4. If you're being a little generous, you know, that's not bad. That's not bad. You know what I mean? So I'm looking forward to seeing what Pacheco does next, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you. I've always been a fan of Pacheco. I liked his potential and what he showed in the ring. I liked his amateur highlights that I had seen. The kid could box, man. He not no regular come forward pressure fighter. He could box. He pivots really well. Responsible defense. Showed maturity in there. When Steven Nelson was rallying in that 12th round, he stayed composed. He got hit with some good shots. He showed a durable chin. He showed a little bit of everything today. Thoughts on Bomac's instructions? I didn't hear his instructions. I wasn't really listening to the commentary all like that. I mean, I had a lot going on in the crib. It was a little loud in here while I was watching. So what did Bomac say? I thought that, well, I did hear one part where Bomac was like, yo, man, you letting this dude tee off on you, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Andre been calling for Pacheco fight, but Eddie Hearn won't put Pacheco in with him. Well, first of all, Demetrius Andrade ain't even with Matchroom no more. I think that Eddie Hearn understands that Demetrius Andrade is a risk for Diego Pacheco. And then on top of that, Demetrius Andrade, he in his late 30s, mid-30s? You know, Diego Pacheco, 23 years old. Who does he see himself making more money with? Or at least the potential to make more money with? Diego Pacheco, right? So he probably, and I'm not justifying it, I'm just speaking from a promoter's perspective. He probably looking at it like, man, I ain't about to have this dude fight Andrade and possibly fuck my money up and, you know what I mean, go back to square one with him. You know what I mean? So he probably just going around Andrade. Andrade ain't the only one. So I've been slam dunking that little hoop. Yo, bro, that's not even me, cuz. That'd be the kids. I set that shit up like on some, you know, whatever type shit. I put, and now that I see it, hold on. Oh man, that tape done lost this glue. You know what I'm saying? So the backboard hanging there. I gotta fix that shit. But that'd be the kids playing with that shit, bro. I don't be looking at that. I'm playing on real courts for real, cuz. Okay, T says they kept telling Nelson to close the distance. They never told him what to do after he got inside. That's what Nelson was doing majority of the fight, trying to get inside. Well, that's what he was supposed to do. So I'm not mad at those instructions. He had to close the distance because Pacheco was successfully keeping him at the end of his punches. You know what I'm saying? He never allowed, you know, Steven Nelson to establish his range. As a matter of fact, I think I heard Bomac said to come in behind his jab and his feints, which is not bad instructions. I don't think that's bad instructions at all. But in terms of what to do after he got inside, you know, that's ultimately up to the fighter, though. I don't think trainers are responsible for like giving you step by step instructions on what to throw, how to throw it. He telling you, yo, you want to find success, you got to get inside and work your hands. I mean, so I don't know if that's bad advice from that particular part right there. I don't know if that's bad advice from Bomac. He's telling you to get inside, and what he's supposed to tell you what to throw to. Boxers got a mind too. You know what I mean? I'm sure Steven Olsen is experienced enough to know once he gets inside with a taller fighter what he should throw. Yeah, I mean, whether it's a left or right hook to the body, or he's shooting an uppercut up the middle. You know what I'm saying? Straight right hand to the body. That's ultimately up to him. I don't think trainers should be responsible for giving you step-by-step direction. No, this is what you need to do. And then once you accomplish that, then you start being yourself. You know what I mean? I think, in all honesty, that cut played a part more than anything. I don't think Steven Nosa has ever been cut in that ring before. So once he faced that, he didn't know how to go about it. And I've never been cut. I don't got no scar tissue, thank God. But one thing I am going to say is that I can see how that could be very distracting. You know what I mean? Because when you in there, you got your hands, your feet, and your motherfucking eyes. If you want to include your brain, then cool. Your eyes are very important in a boxing ring, man. That's responsible for you being able to see where your opponent is, to see what they're throwing, so that way you can react and, get your shit off. Your eyes are really important. So when your vision is blurred or, it's I guess you could say diluted, it could be a distraction, and it could have you, put your game plan to the background. And that's not something you ever want to do. You want the main objective to always be in mind, but when you cut, that shit could throw everything off. So the fact that the cut man wasn't able to really get a hold on that cut, as soon as it happened, it's disappointing. He said it went into his eyes and he was seeing yellow. Yeah, I heard him say that. When Nelson did in the 12th round, they should have told him to do 2 rounds earlier. Bro, Teach, it's easier said than done, brother. You think he didn't know that? I seen Bomac like trying to motivate him the entire time. But if Pacheco, it's not as simple as, just coming forward and throwing punches. No, Pacheco was letting his hands go too. You know what I'm saying? Like Bomac, I don't know, bro. I don't think Bomac's to blame for this. You might not be a fan of his instructions, but I don't think his instructions were all that bad. You know what I mean? It ain't nothing in comparison to a fucking Angel Garcia. Man, you gotta throw punches, man. Danny, you gotta watch him. You gotta watch him. You gotta let your hands go, man. You fuck this nigga up, man. I ain't hear Bomac give those type of instructions. I heard Bomac say, yo, you need to close the gap, which is what I say all the time. Now, he told you how to close the gap. Now, I don't think a trainer has to necessarily say what you need to throw after you close the gap. I think fighters are smart enough and well-versed enough in they fucking craft to know what to do after the fact. I think, man, Bomac, look, man, one of the best trainers in boxing. You ain't going to hear me talk crazy about him in that sense. Well, you're not going to hear me talk crazy about Bomac at all. You know what I mean? He ain't never give me a reason to talk crazy about him. But, yeah, I'm not going to shit on him for his instructions, And I seen Bomac keeping it a buck with him. Like, yo, man, yo, you gotta step it up. Like, you gotta do this. But if the fighter is not doing what the trainer asks, the trainer can only do so much. How responsible is the trainer if he's giving you proper instructions and you're not following through with them? That's the fighter's fault. This is an individual sport, cuz like it's either you gonna listen to the niggas that you paying your 10, 15, whatever percent to, or you not. Yeah, he said the cut messed it up, bro. I already knew that's what it was gonna be, bro. Once I seen the cut and I seen that the cut man really wasn't successfully able to stop the bleeding right away, I knew that was gonna be a problem. Hey, look, and I see anonymous comment right there. As trainers, you got to keep it real with your fighters, man. Regardless of whether they like it or not. There's some fighters that like yes, man. They just want you to tell them everything they do well. They don't ever want to hear the negatives, or they don't want to hear no constructive criticism. But as trainers, if you're really there for their well-being and you're not there to be a yes man, you got to keep it a buck with them. I've told fighters, I'm like, yo, you lost these last 2 rounds. You got to do something big in this round. Or, yo, this fight is really fucking close. If you lose this round, you lose the fight. I've always kept it real with my fighters. You feel what I'm saying? I've always told them when I felt like they won. I've always told them when I felt like they lost. And even if they won, let's say they get a second, third round knockout, because my guys be getting knockouts and shit. I'm like, yeah, bro, you got the stoppage, but you could have did this better. You know what I mean? I ain't like how you did this, though. We still got to work. You still ain't there with this. We got to work on that. We got to go back to the gym on Monday and fix this up. We got to keep working on this, working on that. You know what I'm saying? Like, as a trainer, you got to keep it real with your fighters. And even if they do phenomenal, there's always work that needs to be done. Boxing is too difficult and complicated of a sport for you to have everything down perfect. It's impossible. It's impossible. I've never seen a perfect fighter in my life. I've seen some very well-rounded fighters. I've seen some phenomenal talents. I've seen some God-gifted fighters, but I've never seen an unbeatable perfect fighter. Never. That's impossible. You know what I mean? So, that's just my opinion on, everything that was going on, man. Great event. I wasn't able to watch the prelims. I heard Zaquin Moses did well. I think he got a first-round stoppage. Apparently the dude got injured or whatever the case was, but I wasn't able to catch the prelims because I was out and about with my family and shit, celebrating my grandmother's 72nd birthday, man. God bless that beautiful woman, man. She's blessed me in many ways, and one of the most positive influences in my life, my angel on earth. So happy birthday to my grandmother. I was able to catch the fights, fortunately, and it was a good night of boxing. So, you know what I mean? I ain't going to be on here too long, y'all. You know what I mean? I'm going to go get me some rest because I got to get up early tomorrow and I got to go to the gym and make this money real quick. And then I'm going to go watch these birds. You feel what I'm saying? I'm going to go watch the Eagles take on the Washington Commanders. You know what I mean? The NFC East Championships. Hopefully they get through that so we could go to the Super Bowl, baby. So, you know what I mean? I'm going to have an eventful Sunday. You know what I mean? I hope y'all do the same. I hope y'all have a blessed, beautiful night. Y'all hit the like, y'all hit the subscribe button if you appreciate this content, if you appreciate these conversations. You feel what I mean? I'll be back at y'all with another video tomorrow. So be on the lookout for that. Until then, this is Mazuma TV. Y'all have a blessed, beautiful night. I'm out of here, man. Peace.